What's going on, Kings and Kingsguard gaming fans? It's your boy JB, and we are back again. This time joined by Kingsguard head coach Lavel Cole. Lavel, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. Appreciate you having me come by.
I appreciate you stopping by. I just want to dive in, get to know you a little bit more, hear about your journey. Just to kick it off, can you just start off by telling us about your journey to this point in your career, and how did you get started in esports, and how did you land a job here with the Sacramento Kings?
Got you. So mainly, growing up as a kid, my first passion was basketball, playing the video game, art, and kind of having like all those things go hand in hand with like the aura of hip hop. Growing up in Brooklyn, who doesn't like listening to music and basketball? So that was kind of where like my first love lied. I would leave school, hop on the school bus. My first things thinking like, okay, how can I get home and get on this game? So I remember like I would just get home and go through my backpack, make sure I didn't have anything to do. Most of the time, like I'll be coming home to like just my brothers and sisters being there. So I'll make sure like all my chores is done. So if it's my day to do dishes and stuff like that, that'll be out the way by the time like 4 o'clock come around. So I'll hop straight on the Nintendo 64. I think the first like NBA game I played was like NBA Jam or NBA 2001 or something like that. Yeah. And that's when like we had like the box figure players. Right. Like exactly. You could do the robot with the players type of thing. Jumping. So it's just like, it was one of those situations where I found it intriguing in like how like it actually replicated what was like known in real life. Like I didn't, in that game, like I don't remember like seeing names, but I knew number 21 was Charlie Ward. I knew, I think 20 was Allen Houston. Like I knew who these players was. Yeah. And then like, as time progressed, the technology became more in depth. And I got older, my basketball understanding grew. And then playing like AAU or playing varsity when I was in high school and things of that nature. My interest just grew and grew and grew, and clearly within time, like the 2K community grew as well. So I think it was around like 2K9, 2K10 when like it was more of like a competitive field. Like they had like small tournaments, whether it was through Virgin Gaming or like Gamer Saloon and stuff like that. And then like 2K10 and 2K11, that what's known as Pro-Am now was called crew mode. So we used to play crew mode, and it was very intense. Like, cause I knew people. Well, firstly, I used to play blacktop, and then I would meet people through blacktop, and then we created our teams and stuff like that. So, just that journey alone is like just super unique to me, because it's like that's how the community was built essentially. Like now, you could just go on Twitter and like see all these players, and nobody ever knew like where that really came from. So back then, it would be like literally like the hottest teams playing the hottest teams, or those. What people know as Breakout now was not what Breakout was. And then Funeral Service and Iron Team and Miami Heat, and just to say a few. If I'm leaving y'all out there, don't be offended. Yeah, it was a lot. And then that transpired into Pro-Am leagues, which is like WR and PBA and things of that nature. So took it to that next level within that field. And then Pro-Am just continued to elevate. And then I continued to play on a amateur level. I qualified for the draft pool a few times. I didn't get drafted a couple of times. And then I figured, okay, well, with all my expertise and my knowledge of the game and my skill set of the game, I could help grow players like to reach their full potential. So I started taking that more seriously. And while I was doing that, I was also being like a mentor within real life and teaching guys about financial literacy and things of that nature within real life. And that went hand in hand with teaching Little League in New Orleans, because I had already moved around from that time. I left New York at a younger age. I think I was around like 13, 14 years old. I was in Atlanta for a short period of time, just relocating with family. Then I ultimately ended up in New Orleans. So throughout that journey, it was crazy. Like coming across different cultures, learning about different people, understanding, different messages behind different things, understanding that, like the small nuances of not only coaching, but being a great person, knowing how to talk to person A versus person B, and things of that nature. And then it just gradually expanded. I started partaking in the amateur team tournaments. I believe my first one was in Dallas, coaching Fire Sticks Gaming. I think we went to the Xbox Finals. We lost to Aspiring Pros, which are our pros now. I think we lost to, I think their team name was Execution, which is Spam 101. Benzo was on that team. Stex, King Peroxide, and I believe Sub Goated before he got drafted, which I'm proud to see those guys like reach their dreams as well. Sub got drafted, Spam got drafted, Peroxide was a previous 2K League player. Benzo's the #1 prospect this year. Stex, I think he's taken a recent hiatus from the game. Gazuli, one of the players that I've coached, he now plays for the for 2K League organization. I believe he plays for the Raptors. And the other guys are also still aspiring to be a part of the 2K League. I believe Yuma is actually in the pool. He won one of his draft pool spots. So, and then it transpired into the next year, coaching some of the guys. Claude, that represents Blazers 5. Stick, that represents Knicks Gaming. Crown, he represents Hornets Venom, and so on and so on. So I'm thankful for all the lessons that I've learned, and the things that put me in position to be able to experience those things and connect with those different type of people, because that's what life is about: planting those seeds and seeing them grow. So that's how I got here.
That's facts. And you dropped a lot of names there, but two names that stuck out to me were Charlie Ward and Allen Houston. Were you a big Knicks fan growing up?
I wasn't necessarily a Knicks fan, but like everybody in my household was Knicks fans, so it was just like I'm around it, and I'm seeing like they would lose like those tight games, and then everybody's just emotional, and then they look at me, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I just enjoyed it though. I think like one of the things that like pop up with me is like people are always like, who's your favorite team? I think I just like love the sport like entirely. Everybody wants to have a favorite team or have rivalries and stuff like that, but I just love the art of basketball.
Yeah, respect. Nice. So what would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned during those years as an amateur gamer, just grinding through, trying to make it to the point where you are now?
Remaining patient. Like I encountered like a lot of challenges, whether it was balancing real life or like responsibilities taking care of like my household or whatever the case may be, my working schedule, or being able to have the resources to travel to attend to certain events or whatever the case may be. So just remaining patient and understanding like not looking for like that instant gratification. I think like when you're like a part of a process, instead of just like, okay, well I did this day, where's my reward? It's just like sticking through the path and understanding like if you're doing this, do it out of like just being genuine about it. And I feel like that's been my reward. Like that's my reward within the reward, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then your transition from amateur gamer to coaching. Talk to us about that. Let's dive in a little bit deeper there. What prompted you to make that transition, and why was coaching ultimately for you?
I think the biggest thing that made me make that transition was understanding that, like, I know it's going to sound like a little bit self-centered, but I think I just had like a higher purpose than just like being really, really good at the game. Because even right now, like, I'm really, really good at the game, but now rather than just being focused on, oh yeah, I'm really, really good at the game, I use that as a tool to uplift other players. Like, okay, what I didn't understand back then was me being really, really good at the game just wasn't enough. And that's just the reality that a lot of guys have to face. Definitely diving more into that, we could, but it's more so like understanding how to be an asset for the people around you and for yourself. And that's what kind of prompted me saying like, okay, I'm really, really good at the game, but how could I be more? How could I do more? How could I be more impactful? How could I not only like go and change a culture around or change a team around or organization around, but how can I help those lives that are mended within that process as well?
Nice. And you mentioned being really good at the game, and for everything you've accomplished, you still have friends that think that they can beat you in 2K?
Oh, you always had those friends. Always had those friends. There's always like peers or like people that you grew up with, or like even like associates that you like played basketball with or had coworkers, and they're just like, yeah, I could beat you. I don't care about none of that. I'm just like, bro, you don't stand a
know.
chance. You don't stand a chance. But
You think it's akin to like, folks who think they can beat like the worst NBA players?
Yeah.
But it's like when you get on the court with a Brian Scalabrine,
it's insane.
it's a whole different thing.
And it's funny. I was speaking to Dell about that the other day, like just because he lives, eats, and breathes basketball, and I was like, if you had to choose like one NBA player that you think you could beat, like that you think you could beat, the best chance, who are you picking? He said none.
None. Yeah.
There isn't
That's
none.
what it is.
Yeah, and we went through like different rosters and stuff like that. I mean, clearly we're not gonna discuss it, but we went through different rosters and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, we don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Like your literal best chance is like picking somebody that's just like, they would have to be like 7 foot and no like lateral quickness, and just hope that you hit every shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not happening.
You think you could score a bucket in an NBA game? You played all 48 minutes, you couldn't get tired?
I think I could get a 3-up.
You get a 3-up?
You see me get some threes.
Yeah.
I think I can get a 3-up. That might be the only 3 I get, but I can get a 3-up.
So just jumping back into coaching, can you tell fans and us just about your coaching philosophy?
Right. Yeah. I think what I try to do is like mend real life scenarios for basketball into like 2K, because there's limits in between both. I think on the more so like casual person that like picks up the stakes, like I'm pretty sure like you play 2K, we've had a conversation about it before. You'll see like basketball plays that are to be made, and then you'll do it and it doesn't work out, and you're like, why didn't it work? Well, the 2K logic doesn't necessarily allow that. And then certain things that happen in 2K that doesn't necessarily happen in like real life. So my philosophy is more so understanding like placement and understanding your role and maximizing your role. So what I mean by that is if you're at a lockdown position, like small forward in the 2K league, you have lockdowns. And a lot of guys that don't know about the 2K league, they're like, well, I play small forward. No, there is no small forward. Right. You're a lockdown. Yeah. You have a point guard, a shooting guard, or sharp, quote unquote, or a combo guard, more so to say, a power forward, a center, and a lockdown. Your job is to be the key anchor of the defense. So my philosophy is also just having like a tight-knit nucleus, so everybody's on the same page, whether it's offensively or defensively, having a system. If offense is struggling, you find the mismatch that's on the court and attack the mismatch. If the offensive possession is stagnant, you find your bailout. And by bailout, I mean it's okay. 9 times out of 10, the power forward and the lockdown is in the pick and roll. And if a shot goes up, the center is crashing. So if you find ways to implement having the power forward being an offensive threat, now that center can't crash for that rebound when that shot goes up, and giving your center another chance to get an offensive board or stall out the possession. Eventually, if you get enough offensive boards, the defense will break down. And that's just on the offensive front. And on the defensive front is understanding the tendencies about the matchups that you're playing, taking away what they want, taking away their play style. If I'm playing against a certain guy that is just super 3-point oriented and isn't really a 3-level scorer, doesn't take mid-ranges. If he doesn't have a 3, he's just trying to run to the rim. Okay, force him to the mid-range. Make him have to make a read, confuse him a little bit, throw a rotation out there. So that's my philosophy. Can't give away all the tips and tricks for people watching.
Of course. But you can see how, having not only, the gaming knowledge, but the basketball knowledge plays into it and leads to success.
Right.
On the court.
Because the things that like kind of like tie into 2K the most when it comes to like real life basketball is like there's always angles that you can get to that are useful, and there's always angles that you want to take away that play more into your favor. So I left y'all with a gem.
So are there any coaches that you've had or that you've worked with or that you've experienced that you sort of modeled your coaching philosophy or your style after?
Growing up, I had an AAU coach. His name was Coach V. I know that's weird because my game of tag verse. But, growing up with him, he taught me a lot about just like the small things of repetition, constant repetition, and learning certain things. Like for me, like I'm dominantly right-handed, but most of the time when people see me play, they're like, "Oh, if you're right-handed, why do you always go left?" And I don't have a strong left hand, but I usually always go left, going downhill or even if I'm working through the perimeter. And he was like, if you work on things that people think are your weakness, even if it's not as great, it's usable and it can be a valuable resource some days. And I started to realize like that's with most things in life. Like if you're struggling with something, how do you make it an asset for you rather than just saying, okay, well, I'm just not good at it.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, well, I'm just not good at it,
Right.
when it's ways that you could work around that. And I feel like that's something that stuck with me, as far as like on the coaching front and just understanding like how to get people to be their best version of themselves. You don't necessarily have to go look at player A and say, oh, I want to be just like that. I want to do things how he does it. No, you can be you, maximize you. And if you see something that is useful from that domain, you can take that and make it a part of your own.
I love that. I definitely took a mental note about you always going right or going left. So when you're looking for players and you're helping build out the team, what attributes are you looking for in a player?
Character. I think character is like a huge thing. Like those things that we just spoke about, like those intangibles of the mindset, the understanding, the willingness, the want to, the know-how, and loving being a student of the game. Like regardless of like how good you may be or how great you may be or whatever accolades you may achieve, like if you're always a student of the game, you'll always find yourself like challenging yourself and learning new things. And then all that does is uplift everybody else around you. And I think that's the biggest thing that is noticeable within this profession. Usually that generates and leads to building and molding more leaders around you. Leaders and individuals that you can respect, and even if they're not the most outspoken, even if they're not the most hype or energetic when they speak or when they need to convey a message to you, it's punctual and you understand and you know where you can be of impact within whatever they're trying to explain to you. So
nice. And those are the attributes that you look for. But what other attributes do you think would make someone successful in the 2K league?
Being coachable is one of the biggest things. I think like a lot of things that come down to people having an open mind to want to do something different, want to challenge themselves to do something different. A practice, a play, a shot attempt, a move in the game, or animation that nobody else is utilizing, whatever the case may be. Just being coachable and wanting to try to do something different. Because now, what we see nowadays is people find like a system that is working, and they just say, oh, let's just do that system. Or let's, whatever is like, quote unquote, popping at the moment, let's try to replicate that.
Yeah.
And there's always ways to use your creativity to get ahead of that curve, so.
Nice. And as we prepare to enter the season, this will be your first full season as head coach of the Kingsguard Gaming. Walk us through what an ideal practice will look like under your tutelage.
Well, kind of still on the page out of just like things that I've learned previously in the past is like understanding the tight knit of being on time, being on schedule, and utilizing practices with a purpose. It's been a known thing like throughout the league from year in and year out that a lot of guys, they look at practice like, oh, it's just practice, it doesn't mean anything. But notes to say from my experiences, if you're practicing with a purpose and understand what you're practicing for, it doesn't matter what the result is of the scrim. It matters on how you execute what you're practicing in game. So that way, that could be a part of not only your identity, but something that people have to game plan for. If you practice the right way, if you know how to utilize your practices, then it in turn gives you the results that you want when it's time to utilize those things in an actual scenario that is real now. So that's one of the biggest things for me.
Nice. And then, these guys are not only practicing, with you, they're leading the way, but they spend a lot of time on the sticks by themselves.
Right.
Ideally for you as a coach, how much time would you like to see your players committing to improving their craft?
As much as possible. And I think one of the biggest things that I had to realize, well, I knew, but it's still like something that you have to like take into account is that people have responsibilities, and I understand that they love the game and they play the game like endlessly and stuff like that, but things do come up, or like sometimes it is good to take like a small little mental break so you can recalibrate and get back to having that impact that you wish to have or improving in the field that you wish to improve. One of the analogies that I kind of took from my mom growing up, she was like, if a lumberjack shows up every single day cutting down trees, and then somebody comes in and put in an order for 100 trees, and he's just like, yeah, I could cut them all down in one day. Okay, that's great to hear, but I promise you, at some point, once he's cutting down those trees, he's gonna slow down. And she asked me, she said, why do you think he'll slow down? I said, well, he got tired. He was like, no. he forgot to sharpen his blade. And that just goes hand in hand. You could work as hard as you want, have the energy, the charisma, the want to, the know-how as much as you want, but at the same time, you still have to be able to realize and have the awareness of when you're not hitting at the exact clip that you should be hitting at. So that's the analogy of sharpening your blade.
Yeah.
So
That's deep. And do you think there should be a variety, or do you think it should vary how much time they're spending on the sticks in season versus in the off season?
Yes, it's always good to have that balance. I do feel like if you're just like have the ability to, it's good when you already have an established balance. I think that plays the biggest part into schedule. So like, for example, like I know Kerry goes home, he enjoys being home with his family and friends. Same thing with Bray. So like spending time with family, because these guys are younger guys, so being away from family for 6 months, sometimes 7 months, depending on like how the season goes. There's a lot of things that you may want to get back in tune with or reconnect with or whatever the case may be, or a lot of time that you missed out on things that you could have been helping with family being away, you're helping with them during the off season. So it's about finding that balance, and for me, I think it's very important within my role to be a shoulder that they can lean on when it comes to advice. Like, hey, I know that we're scheduled to do such and such, and I want you to be working on your game in this regard, but at the same time, I also need you to be mindful, like, if you're getting empty reps, it also means nothing either.
Yeah, facts.
So.
Nice. And then earlier you mentioned Dell, former head coach, now GM. How would you characterize your working relationship with him?
Dell's like a silent assassin. He's taught me a lot of things. He's a great mentor, great guy, overall person. When I find times of like not having that know-how, that balance, he always like challenges me to think in different ways. And I have this thing about me because I'm like just like such a hard worker. I always tell people like I see things and I do. I don't necessarily ask questions or does this need. I see things and I just get it done. But in that regard, like I also get like real, not necessarily like not like anxious, like nervous, but anxious like I'm prepared, like I'm ready to get certain things done. And he's taught me to like just take a step back sometimes and like really evaluate situations before you really act on them. And I think that's something that I think I'll continue to learn and make a part of like myself, so that way I could be at my best when the time comes with those moments. Because I do find myself being anxious a lot and wanting to get certain things done or execute certain things, or even just like implement new things. Like, because I'm always brainstorming and trying to figure out ways that can be beneficial to not only myself but other people around me. So that's something that stuck with me throughout this process.
And you know that attitude of see something that you want to do and then actually doing it. Where did that mentality come from?
I think it's just like that Brooklyn vibe.
Yeah.
Growing up like in a fast-paced city, and like I come from a Caribbean background. My mom's Caribbean, my father's Dominican. So like whether it was like education or like anything that was like schedule based or things that was necessary, my mom's just like go get to it, like go get it done. And then like as time went by, like as men you grow up and you're just like seeing certain things that are required of you or things that you see that there's a lack thereof. So you're like, okay, how do I fix it? How do I provide? How do I protect? How do I do these things? And that's just always been me. But I do have to find a balance with that because, again, back to that analogy, if I burn myself out, I'm of use to nobody. So
Exactly, yeah. You got to sharpen the blade.
For sure.
For sure. So just going back to Dell, is there a piece of advice that he may have given you as you were preparing to take on the role of head coach that kind of stuck with you at all?
Slow down. Every time I get excited, he's like, slow down, bro. I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to just take a step back a little bit. I think that's the biggest thing for sure. Because I think that hits home for me so much is just because I was always going.
Right.
Sometimes I'm going and I'm figuring it out as I'm going. And that's not always productive. So I don't know. I guess that's that, he's from H-Town, so that slow motion versus that slap, fast motion, we kind of like finding that nucleus to make this like a productive thing, build
like
that culture.
Yin and yang kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it fits together.
Exactly.
So just take us back to that moment when you were named head coach of Kingsguard Gaming. Like, what were the emotions like for you?
I'm not, to be honest, I was shocked and excited at the same time. And again, back to what we just spoke about, I was more so just like prepared. Like I was ready to like understand what needed to be done, what direction we're trying to head into, things that are important to like our mission goals and values, which we understand like, okay, the character of people, what they wanted, what they're going to be doing, their being able to like establish that culture and understand like, okay, this is the identity of what we're going for as players. This is the identity of what we're going for as team, as a team. This is the standard that is upheld by my coach. This is the standard that is upheld by my GM, and so on and so forth. And then understanding like we don't want everybody to just, or anybody to be a part of this and think that they're just a player or think that they're just like a piece to a puzzle. Or organically and like willingly, I want people to feel like they're part of like a family. And we're coming in here, we're working together, we're coming in here day in and day out. You can be as transparent as you will, so that way we can know, okay, you having a bad day, how do I pick you up? All right, and I feel like it's just small things that like could be really learned and start to value. Because if you walk into the office and you know we see each other and we always greet each other with high praise, sometimes I know you at 60%.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know I'm at 40%.
Right.
But we make it work though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the more that you like branch out and you catch other individuals and you're able to establish that understanding, now it's like, okay, we're here. Like even if you're having a bad day, you got 30, all right, I got 70 for you.
Right.
You got 70, all right, give me 30.
Yeah.
And if it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 40, all right, let's try to make this work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, and I feel like that's what sets people apart when it comes to working in team environments, rather than just saying, oh, I got a bad day, and you just chalk it up.
Right.
So
Knowing that, you know, and how important that is, like, how do you go about getting the team to buy into that philosophy?
I think the biggest thing is allowing guys to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, but also allowing them to understand that you're not the only person making mistakes.
Yeah.
So if all the individuals understand like where their weak points are at and understand like where they all relate into a certain regard, which I've kind of brainstormed and came up with a project that we're gonna do like when we get all the guys in market, just knowing like, okay, me and you relate. Like this is what I don't have to work on this alone. Mm-hmm. Let's help each other.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. It's easy to feel like there's no sense of direction if you are still trying to figure out what your problem is. Mm-hmm. But if you know that there is a problem and others know that there is a problem, then you know how, okay, I could go about it in this way. Well, what do you practice that helps you? And what do you practice that helps you in that regard? Well, I never tried that, so maybe I could try that for myself. And they'll probably return the same question and things of that nature. So.
And you mentioned the project that you have planned for the team. I know last year you guys did a couple team bonding activities with the Top Golf,
yeah.
Went bowling and stuff. How important are those kind of things for building camaraderie?
Super important. I feel like in this situation, you're leaving home from like a domain of all you know from most guys at their age, and meeting a lot of people that they never knew, being in a city or state that they've never been to, and working with an organization of they probably never thought that they'll probably be working with. So just understanding that aspect alone gives people the one up on knowing like, okay, well, I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to be myself and not be judged, not be looked at in a improper lens or whatever the case may be. So just the transparency, the honesty, bonding moments, whether it's just through laughter or speaking about previous experiences or things that stuck out to them with things that they love, whether it's their hobbies or playing the game or art or music. Small things like that allow people to like build together or like connect. For me, I connect a lot through just talking to people. I always love just having a conversation, listening to music, understanding what people do like, what they don't like, and you know, and also like within that regard, a lot of people say, oh, well, they like this, I like this. That doesn't go hand in hand, but I mean, just because something isn't the same doesn't mean that it's not respected or whatever the case may be. And just because people don't necessarily agree on one thing doesn't mean that you have to be opposed to each other. You could always agree to disagree and still walk away shaking the next person's hand. So I think those are the key elements of, having people a part of a system and establishing that system and making sure everybody fits equally. So
the team retained Carey and Bray this season.
Yep.
What can you tell us about them, not only as players, but as people?
So I'll start with Carey. Carey love his music, man. He's a music man for sure. And as a person, he's a great communicator. Even through stressful situations, he finds himself like finding ways to be able to communicate. And I feel like that's like a very underrated quality within a person, because it's easy to shut down. And then outside of that, he's always like a willing person. Like when it comes to like, if somebody's trying to connect with them, or if there's a problem within the team, or if there's a struggle or obstacle in front of them, he finds a way to like put the team first, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's not anything that you could take for granted in that regard. And just amazing person. I feel like he just is like that. I think I said it before, but like that ray of light. If you're in like a dark room, he knows how to like pick people up. And Bray is literally a sponge. Like, great guy, intelligent kid, knows what he wants out of life. Very intelligent, very intellectual as well. And I'm loving the product of how he's like molding himself and what he's learned this previous season. Going to the gym, taking his diet seriously, playing the game, working on his craft, watching film all the time. Both of them, in fact, actually watch film endlessly. So that just lets us know that they're serious about their craft, and it gives me some type of reassurance knowing the character of these guys and what they want to do and what they aim to do, and understanding the situation that they're in and how do we dig ourselves out of that situation, and how do we change the culture and do what we need to do so that we could be one well-oiled machine going forward.
So as head coach, how would you characterize what your goals are for this season for the team?
No, it's always like great to hear and say like, oh, let's go win a championship. Right. But I think our goal, or from my point of view, I think it's important for us to set those small goals first. Set the small goals of winning the day. Let's win today. Cool. You're not worried about tomorrow. When we get to tomorrow, we can prepare for tomorrow, but we're not necessarily setting a standard for tomorrow. When we get to tomorrow, let's win tomorrow. Whatever struggles you dealt with yesterday, we can address that, come to terms about that, then transition to the next day and see if it transpires again, and so on and so forth. But win each day. Find a way to win each day. You may not win entirely, but you can find ways to conquer certain things that you need to get done within that day. And just that positivity alone allows you to be able to stem and be like, okay, well, I struggled with this yesterday, but I won't struggle with it again today. So I think that's one of the biggest things that can be useful with any type of realm of work. So
that's facts, man. And I can tell that this team is going to be ready to run through a brick wall for you. If you keep those motivational words.
Hey, man. They call me preacher for a reason.
So I just want to change gears a little bit. I want to dive back into your history. I know that you mentioned growing up in Brooklyn. Talk to us about that. What was that like, and how did that kind of shape you as a person?
Fast paced, always on the go, learning. Like I always the challenges that many people face in other environments is kind of like it has its pros and cons, because certain things that you may have to learn at an older age, I had to learn at a younger age. I had to learn how to get on a bus and get across the city at 12, 13 years old. Right. I had to learn how to cross the street in one of the most populated, if not the most populated city in the United States at a young age. I had to know how to get to the market to bring back groceries for my mom when she was stuck at work and stuff like that. And I think a lot of things that I learned within that moment as well was just like the diversity, like learning other people's backgrounds. Doesn't matter the race or ethnicity or whatever the case may be. Just learning their backgrounds and learning that I'm not the only person that's going through whatever I'm going through. So that's something that stuck with me. And I kind of feel like that's just a part of like who I am now and why I am. So I guess I would say like productive with, even if I'm having like the worst day, you would never be able to know.
Yeah.
Like it's tough to know. And I'm not, I don't want to say I'm prideful of that, but like throughout the times that since I've been here, I'm pretty sure like you've seen me like endless times, and you probably can't like count past like 1 or 2 times where like something wrong with it.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So I just find ways to like persevere, and I don't do it in a like dysfunctional way. Like I'm just like just blocking out everything.
Yeah.
I feel what I feel,
Right.
but I still have to know like where I'm at, what needs to be done, and I'll take the time off of myself when need be, so that I could mentally reset, get back to where I need to be at, so I could continue to do what I need to do, whether it's work related or personal life related or whatever is required of me. So.
Yeah, I mean, that really resonates with me. I'm from the East Coast as well, from Maryland, but grew up just 15 minutes outside of D.C., went to high school in D.C., so, a lot of people say that kind of atmosphere hardens you, but I like to think it just prepares you for a
100%.
litany of situations, so certainly resonates with me, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there. But what about as a basketball player? How did growing up there shape you and the way that you perform on the court?
Hey man, we don't have like the huge like recreational centers. Well, when I was growing up, we didn't have access to that. Walk down the street, walk into the park, grab your ball, shoot on that double rim. So like one of the things that stuck out to me a lot was, just the art of shooting, like shooting. If you like really look at it, like every time like I'm in a different state or you and you're playing, the first thing somebody knows is like he shoots, like you know how to shoot like consistently. And I kind of fell off over the years because, taking a step back and handling other things. But shooting on double rims is difficult.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. And, most shooters, they'll say, okay, well, that's nothing. But then when they start shooting on it, why is it, I can't hit a shot? Or why is it inconsistent? Well, I mean, it's a double rim for a reason. Right. The same bounce that you get on a recreational rim or a single rim is just not the same. So I think like that's something that I'm proud of. Because walking in 24, especially when I go with DJ or Dell for name purposes, I call him DJ. But walking in 24, he don't miss nothing. So I can't miss nothing either. And I done played him so many times. Got this game that he introduced me to that I didn't know nothing about called 42. So like I think you shoot twice or 3 times from each spot, kind of like around the world.
Okay, yeah.
So first to 42 wins.
Nice, yeah.
I still ain't beat him yet.
Yeah,
So.
not yet. What's the closest you've gotten?
We can't talk about that.
Well, fortunately, I'm talking to him next, so I'm sure he'll tell me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull him aside for that interview. Before that interview, I'm gonna have to pull him aside, rob him a little bit.
I love that. And then you went to Syracuse University.
Yes, sir.
So talk to us a little bit about that and the foundation that helped lay for your future.
Structure. Understanding structure, understanding like all the things that like I came to familiarize myself with, but it established me having to respect that standard at that point in time, at a young age, being away from home, like understanding what was needed for me. And I'll be honest, I wasn't like the hugest fan of school, but again, mom said you're gonna get certain things done, you're gonna go get it done. So that was my motto throughout of it, and I still wanted to play basketball, so it was just more motivating to me. I didn't play on the collegiate level. I wasn't like that great, just being honest. I was good, but wasn't that great to where like you would play. So beyond that, I took my education seriously, bachelor's degree in computer science. So, and I like computers, I love technology, I love creating things. I'm always like in the creative element. And I love getting into that element because you just never know where it could take you or things that you could, bring to life, I would say. So my time there was, unique, fun. I met a lot of cool people there. And shortly after that, that's when I ended up in Atlanta. I was able to, branch into a lot of the amazing things that I'm doing now.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Atlanta. I went to college in Atlanta, and I think that you and I spent a couple years there together as an overlap. So I know what the experience in Atlanta was like for me.
For sure.
What was it like for you?
I liked Atlanta. I just feel like Atlanta is just way too huge. Like, you have to drive 30 to 40 minutes to get everywhere.
On
And
the highway.
that's without traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so when I first got there, we were living in College Park. That's like on the south side of Atlanta.
Yep.
And then like to get from College Park to Camp Creek,
Yeah.
driving down Old National Highway, which is not a real highway, by the way, it's a road.
It's just a road,
But it's the road stretches for so far, they have to call it a highway. Going under that underpass, passing the airport to get to Camp Creek, which is supposed to be 15 to 17 minutes away, turns into 30 minutes. That's insane. But I will say this, Atlanta has a great variety of food. Southern hospitality is nice, at least for when we were there.
Right.
It's kind of crazy now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But outside of that, yeah, I like Atlanta. I like the nature aspect. I love the fact that like if you go further out, like up Georgia 400, go to Stone Mountain Park, go to, I think Savannah is north and Valdosta is south. I remember I went to like the safari exhibits and stuff like that. So I enjoy my time in Atlanta. I just feel like it's just way too populated now.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm glad I got out when I did. And Keith Lee talking about these food reviews, it's kind of scaring me to go back. So I'm glad we experienced it when we experienced it.
To be there when we were there, you know, it's such a budding, eclectic city, you know, and the music scene is fantastic. You know, when I was there, that's when, you know, it was like the Gucci Mane era and stuff like that. So, I mean, all types of good times, you know, for sure. So definitely have a soft spot in my heart for Atlanta. But just going back to college, like what were your career aspirations while you were in college, and what prompted you to make that switch to gaming?
To be honest, I wanted to end up being close to game developing. So being a game developer or testing or coding, that was always like within my domain. And I feel like just me understanding and playing video games at such a high level attests to that, like it kind of collaborated. So, excuse me. So me doing that, I didn't have any idea that it would branch into what I'm doing now, even though I already did the things that I'm doing now. So it took a turn for what it did, and I'm glad it all worked out, to be honest, because I'm genuinely enjoying doing what I'm doing, like day in and day out. Like I couldn't ask for anything better.
That's what it's all about, for real. I love what you do. But we got the serious stuff out the way. So we're going to change gears a little bit and get to some fun stuff. We're going to start off with some NBA 2K trivia.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so, I mean, but you're a pro, so this will be easy for you.
I ain't worried about it.
So for these first 5 questions, I'm going to give you the year, and you tell me who the cover athlete was on that 2K.
Hopefully. I'm getting old, man. So
I know. Listen, man, you got it. I got faith in you. And if you don't get it, then we'll just cut it out. So
all right, cool.
we got creative control.
That's true.
So we'll start with NBA 2K15.
Anthony Davis.
Ooh. It's Kevin Durant.
It was?
It was.
16 was Anthony Davis.
Maybe.
It was KD now that I think about it.
Yeah.
He had the OKC jersey on.
Right, yeah, okay. What about NBA 2K17?
2K17. Kyrie Irving.
Close. It was Paul George.
See? Getting old.
Now, see, my next one is 2K18.
I believe that's... No. That is Kyrie Irving.
That's Kyrie,
I just mixed up both answers.
Exactly, yeah. You was on it, though.
Yeah, I'm close.
This is also a name that you've already mentioned. NBA 2K20.
That was Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that was AD.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it back for this next one.
Okay.
The next one's a throwback.
Okay.
NBA 2K5.
I'm going to get this wrong. Is there multiple choice?
I'll give you multiple choice.
Okay, let's do it.
Allen Iverson, Shaq, Ben Wallace, or that's it. I'll give you those 3.
I honestly can't remember, but for the sake of how many times he's been on the cover, I gotta say AI.
It was actually Ben Wallace.
Jesus.
I know. We'll review it and we'll see if we want to.
Ben Wallace is so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? That was right at the height of the Pistons era with him and Chauncey and.
That's crazy. I can't even be ashamed that I got that wrong because 2K5, which was what? Is that 18 years ago? I was like,
Yeah, that might have been on the Dreamcast.
I was like 10.
Now you're making me feel old. We'll go on to the next one. Who are the top 5 or 6? There's a tie for the last 4 rated players on NBA 2K24.
I don't play a lot of quick match. You said top 5 or 6?
Yeah.
That's including like the all-time players.
No, this is just current
Okay.
players. Yeah.
So I think you gotta say LeBron,
Yep.
Steph Curry,
Correct.
KD,
Correct.
Giannis,
Correct.
Jokic.
Yep. And there's one more that you haven't named.
Embiid.
Correct.
I see. I got it.
Ooh.
I got it. That's a real basketball
Yeah,
question.
right,
if you know
right,
basketball,
right,
you gotta
yeah,
know those.
Yeah. And that was in one take. All time, who are the only 3 players in NBA 2K history with a 99 overall rating?
You said all time. What are the 3 players in NBA history, NBA 2K history that had a 99 overall rating?
Including historic players.
Jordan,
Correct.
Bron, Shaq.
Close. It's a center that also played for the Lakers.
Kareem?
Kareem.
Shaq didn't have a 99?
Shaq did not have the 99.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
That makes sense,
He
though.
was probably about a 98, right?
Yeah, probably 98.
98. So, what was the first NBA 2K that you ever played, and what do you remember about the game?
My first 2K that I ever played, the first 2K that I ever played was like 2K6 or 7.
Okay, yeah.
But the first 2K that comes to mind that I like completely remember, because like that's when I like could remember everything, do everything, play everything, was 2K11. Okay,
respect.
And I feel like it was just because like that's when like it was super competitive.
Yeah.
Like I played against a range of guys that play now.
Right.
So like just the nostalgia from that is crazy. Like playing against Demon JT, that he's a broadcaster for the 2K League.
Wow. Yeah.
Playing against Dimes, playing against Fab, playing against Let's Get a Ramo that plays for Pistons GT. GFG Compete that was previously in the 2K League. Lottie, he played for Utah Jazz Gaming. Aaron Rookwood, his name's A. Rooks, that played for Bucks Gaming. So many guys, like so many guys. There was even coaches that played back then. I know DJ played back then. Joel Lazou played back then. There was a lot of guys that played 2K11 back then. And then like, we didn't necessarily, you knew of some of them, but you didn't know until like when 2K16, 2K17 came around, when they implemented the 250K tournament, like Road to the All-Star and Road to the Finals. And then like we would mention like team names. She was like, oh yeah, I played for them. And I'll say, well, what was your name back then? I'll be like, that was you?
Right.
That was you I was giving 40? So
I used to burn you up.
I used to burn you up out there. He's like, no, you didn't. Right. Yes, I did. I did. So it was always like just thinking about stuff like that and seeing like how things are now is crazy. But now I have more of a respect for like when you speak to like people that experience a certain gap of sports or any type of situation before you got to that current moment, and they're telling you about certain experiences, and you're like, I never heard nothing about that. I never seen anything about that. Like, I don't know. It's because now when you speak to the new players now, they're like, oh, they wasn't good. But then when they play some of them in the league, it's like, they good.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
It's one of those.
You think that kind of happens on the NBA level too? Like when you see like highlights and stuff from the 80s and the 70s, and you're like, oh, they couldn't hang with the guys today, but
I have a newfound respect for like, and I won't say all, but I have a newfound respect for a lot of the players back then. Like one guy that I took for granted as a complete player, I know people gonna probably like look at me like, man, you crazy. But Isaiah Thomas. Oh, yeah. I didn't know Isaiah Thomas was like one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Defense, playmaking, scoring. I didn't know he was. I knew he was good, I didn't know he was that good.
Yeah.
So like, somebody called me crazy the other day, and I was looking at it, and I was breaking down like film. We was just talking about basketball, just the love of basketball. We have a group chat. Some of my boys back home just loving talking about basketball, and he was like, "Who could you compare Isaiah Thomas to? Like, even if it's not in the current NBA." I was like, you know who was like very similar to Isaiah Thomas with less defense? Tony Parker. Like, as far as like the control of the ball, pace of the ball, getting to certain spots, setting up the offense, mid-range, making some ridiculous layups. It was insane. So I think like that was one of the players that like I've come to like really appreciate more. Just seeing like film on him and stuff like that changed my outlook on how people valued him as a player.
Nice.
Yep.
And then back into the game, you know, what's your experience playing the My Player mode, and what are your thoughts on it?
For this 2K?
Just really dating back to when it first, like, you know, caught fire and kind of transitioned and set the model for all My Player modes throughout sports games.
I think that it has definitely expanded, but I also feel like they should look into bringing back like full customization. And I think that's why 2K11 resonates with me so much, because I could choose my crossover going left, I could choose my crossover going right, I could choose my size up going backwards, I could choose my size up going forward, I could choose any type of. It broke down dribbling to every facet of dribbling. And now it's like, okay, I could choose my behind the back, I could choose my crossover, I could choose my signature style, but it's things that's in the signature style that I don't like.
Right.
What if I don't want the snatchback in that signature style? What if I want De'Aaron Fox snatchback? And what if I want Malik Monk crossover? How can I want to merge all that for me, not for what y'all want it to be. So I feel like that's something that I think is like super valuable and something that people appreciated that element a lot, because something that's like within the 2K community now, what we see like on Twitter when people have like their opinions and stuff like that, they say, I don't want to play like anybody else. I want my player to look like my player and play like unique to how I want them to play. Because nowadays, you know, people find like the most useful move and they're like, okay, I'm going to just run with that. So exactly. That's something that I love about the game, and I feel like they could get back to. So that's my peak for the my player stomping ground, because I feel like that's the point of my player.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. I mean, I remember those years when it was actually, you know, fun to grind. And, you know, improve your player, and like you said, be able to customize everything. You want the Allen Iverson behind the back, but you want Jamal Crawford, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there were so many different things that you could do that they've, you know, minimized now, but you know, I get it. The game is transforming, it's a different time, but if we go back to those early years of my player.
Man, I recently put out a tweet the other day, and I said if 2K could just like go back to 2K11, 16, and 17 and take out the great things from it and implement it into this game or the next game going forward. Like, just take out like the great things that people love, and even if you need to recode them or like revamp them for the current engine of what they use, do that, and then like I promise you, it would be amazing. Because you would see people like recently. I pay attention to a lot of content creators. Like, people will like dress up their player to look like De'Aaron Fox or like Ben Simmons or LeBron James, and then like make mixtapes out of them, and that's only promoting your product. That's just super cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in that same vein, if you had to rank your 3 favorite 2Ks, how would they rank? 2K11 for sure. 2K, I don't know, it's tough. 2K11, 2K16, and 2K16, 17, and 19 is kind of like a tie for me for second. Okay. Just because like their own like uniqueness. Like before, like they made 2K16 like super like clunky a little bit. It was like a really good game. And then 2K17, you had way more flexibility, and like it was dynamic, it was diverse. Like if you was a 300, you could 300. If you was breaking ankles, you was breaking ankles. I think 2K15 got to go in that mix too. A lot of people will probably look at that like that's controversial, because like towards the end of 2K15, like it was a patch where like you was just making like some ridiculous shots. But at the beginning of 2K15, like you can make your player exactly however you wanted to make them. And whoever was better was better. We could have the exact same thing, but if I was better than you, I was just better than you.
So it's just one of those things, and I feel like that's, I don't know, maybe that's a the competitive landscape of just like appreciating that. But I feel like the flexibility to be able to do whatever you wanted to do and have fun with that was an art of its own. So I think, yeah. And then third, I would say 2K, pre-patch 2K22. I feel like before like the patch changes, 2K22 was a great game. So.
And then what if you had to rank your 3 favorite gaming systems, but no current gen, so no PlayStation 5 and no Xbox S/X?
Xbox 360.
Okay, yeah.
PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64. Yeah.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were a 360 guy growing up?
Yeah.
Nice.
That was like my first like, because I think the PlayStation wasn't available at that point in time. So that was like my first like, okay, my teenage years, like, yeah, I'm on 360. Because I was like really into Halo.
Same here, bro.
And it's crazy because I people know Ninja now, and I used to play him in Halo 3.
Oh, for real?
Like Ninja, Flame Sword, Mikwen, Ogre 1, Ogre 2, Snipe Down. Like, used to play them competitively, like, a lot.
Yeah.
And like I used to wake up Saturday morning, especially on the weekends, I don't got nothing to do, Halo. And it's funny because that's what the competitive nature of 2K turned into, like tens lobbies or like matchups and stuff like that. But we used to literally call and get into a chat or group me. That's what Discord is to the community now.
Yeah.
And get the H lobby going. So 4-on-4, it's just like the comms are just like consistent, constant. It's just like, it was amazing. I don't think you'll ever be able to like replicate those moments.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, those early Halo years are so underrated.
Yeah.
So much nostalgia. I mean, I'm slightly older than you, but when I first started playing Halo, it was on the original Xbox, you know.
Right.
And I remember lugging my Xbox over to a friend's house, and we would, you know, connect
System
the long,
link.
yeah, exactly, the long Ethernet cord. And 4 of us would be upstairs, 4 would be downstairs. We'd be like, let's get it in, you know. So
Camo respawn in 15 seconds. Overshield in 15.
exactly. Capture the flag. You know what I mean? So yeah, those years would never be replicated. So.
Man, it was insane.
Crazy, man, crazy. So when you're not playing 2K, what are some of your favorite things to do in your free time?
I'm an outdoors person. I love just like being outdoors next to nature. So going on walks. They'll introduce me to this place that we went hiking at. I plan on going back out there at some point in time. It was a real good hike. I think it was probably like 2.5 miles, maybe 3 miles to get all the way to like, I don't even think that was like the end point. I think that was just like a view spot that you can get to. Man, I was tired, bro. I was super tired. I plan on like trying to get out more to like lakefronts. Folsom Lake is a place of interest. I've heard good things about that. And outside of that, always like playing basketball, being active. I'm in the gym, lift, just good for your mental health.
Yeah.
I like to try different foods, but I just got my car out here recently, so I plan on like venturing out and stuff like that. I gotta find me a Caribbean spot. I found one, and they good, but I gotta see like what's the best of the best. But right now they the best. Shout out Dub Plate Kitchen.
Listen, I was going to tell you, I found one as well, but it's just been one, and it was Dub Plate.
Yeah. Dub Plate's pretty good.
I'm rocking with them, you know what I mean? But it's not like on the East Coast, man.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not like.
And
on the
it's
East Coast.
it's no knock to that. It's just not
it's
like
not.
home.
Right.
And it's just I don't know. It's hard to replicate.
Yeah, I was telling my wife when I went back home a few months ago for a wedding, I was like, man, I can just drive down the street and get a beef patty on
Everywhere.
Wherever I want to.
Everywhere.
At 7-Eleven, you know what
They
I mean?
got
So,
'em.
yeah, exactly.
And it's not just beef patties. It's
not.
the curry chicken patties, the
Yeah,
veggie patties, the
exactly.
callaloo patties.
Yeah.
I remember I walked into some place, I think it's like right around the corner. I said, y'all have callaloo patties? She said, what?
Right.
I said, what?
Right.
It's a Jamaican flag on the door.
That's crazy. Again, it's not a knock, you know. It's just different. You
It's
know?
just different,
It's just
yeah.
different. So what about music? Are you a music guy?
Love music. I'm a huge like R&B and soul guy.
Okay,
So
bet,
like, I like a lot of the new current artists, but just listen to old schools like Teddy Pendergrass, Aretha Franklin, Sade Adu on a Sunday morning. You can't go wrong with that.
Man. Yeah, don't even get me started.
It's house cleaning music.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But it's funny because like I play it all the time. Like and I feel like it's just like always puts me in a great mood. Even if I'm already in a great mood, I'm listening to that type of music. But I do love my hype music with all these other new artists. Like I listen to Drake or Travis Scott or J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, a lot of other artists, especially like if I'm about to go play basketball or lift weights and stuff like that. You know, get into that groove, get into that mode. So I'm pretty sure like all hoopers like know like, okay, I'm trying to tap into that mode now.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. What was the last album that you can remember listening to, start to finish?
Start to finish, like a new one.
Yeah.
The newest one, a lot of people probably don't even like listen to him, but it's a Chicago artist. His name is Mick Jenkins.
Nice.
Very good artist. I think he has like one of the most sound albums that has dropped this year.
Wow.
From start to finish. Lyricist, hip hop, production, beats, the cadence of how he raps. He's just an amazing artist. I think he's like very underrated.
Nice.
So
Check him out. Who would you say is your favorite rapper?
it's tough. A lot of well, I ain't gonna say unpopular. I'm more of like a substance guy.
Yeah.
So like for me, I don't necessarily have one favorite rapper, but my top 3 would be
You can give me 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, J. Cole,
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar.
Is this in order or no particular order?
No particular order. J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Meek Mill, Fab.
Okay, nice.
Fab, one of them
Okay,
ones.
yeah.
Fab, one of them ones.
Love it.
Fifth is it's tough. That fifth spot is kind of like an intertwine of a good amount of people. So I would say like Pac, Biggie, and underrated again. Pac, Biggie, and Rick Ross. Rick Ross, oh my God, bro. Like when you really listen to Rick Ross, like from start to finish, how he produces his music, how he Rick Ross is tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of Rick Ross.
Yeah.
I noticed that you didn't have Jay in there though.
That's where the dwindle comes in too, because it's like a lot of people don't understand like Jay's music, but I also feel like the time where he was making music, there wasn't like another guy. Like he had like Nas that was competition with him, but he didn't have Nas didn't have the volume of music to keep on going head to head with Jay. The next person that you could say is like Lil Wayne, and that's where I like have them all in that like 5 gap, but no particular order. Jay, one of the greatest rappers to ever like rap, and I'm not even talking about just like music sales. Like when you listen to him, even when you listen to him with those tier of artists on the same song, you hear him and it's like, yeah.
He can rap. Like,
This ain't your song no more. This
yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
And it's no knock to Drake, but what song is that?
First person shooter.
That one. See, now it sounds like I'm slandering Drake.
I don't want to take it there,
But that's a good example. And then like Love All with Jay-Z on it.
Yeah.
Like both are great, but like when you hear that and you hear Jay-Z's verse, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But he do that to a lot of people, so.
Exactly, yeah. So you really can't, you should expect it at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I think that, Jay-Z's incredibly talented. I personally don't have him in my personal top 5.
But you understand why.
But I understand anybody who does. You know, so don't come for us, Jay-Z.
Yeah, please.
fans.
please.
Yeah.
And all the Drake people,
Yeah.
I don't got nothing against Drake. I like Drake. I just like the older Drake.
Facts.
New Drake, he cool, but I like the older Drake.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What was the last TV show that you binged?
Ooh. Love me some good TV shows. So I'm gonna drop y'all some gems. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's a TV show called From. Watch that. I think that's not the latest one that I watched. The latest one that I watched was called Invasion.
I've heard about Invasion.
Yeah, like the world is like ending and different types. Well, not ending, but it's like some type of like all these events are all going on at one time, and it's showing like a story from like different points of views from different people. It's insane. And another one that is a must watch. Y'all gotta watch Hijacked with Idris Elba.
Okay.
Man,
Yeah.
when I say like on your toes,
Yeah?
you can't anticipate what's gonna happen.
So you like those kind of like suspense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like things that tell a story, like has a good plot, has good acting, and like, you know, you can understand like what's going on. It's not just like sporadic and you're just like, what was that? Like, what was that conversation about from that last scene? I like for it to like grab my attention.
Yeah,
So
that's fair. So if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only bring one book, what would that book be?
like a book?
Yeah, a physical book. No tablet, like you could only bring one book.
No audio book?
No audio book, nothing. I'm not gonna let you listen while you're building your fire, nothing. You gotta flip through.
If I had to bring one book, see, it's on one hand I want to be resourceful, and on the other hand I want to be entertained.
Right.
It's tough. My best answer for that would have to be something in regards to Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning and I'm also seeing like the life lessons within it, but I'm also like being entertained at the same time. So, and I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest like bookworm, but I do read from time to time, and I have a select few. Like I like Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's another book that I'm currently reading. I think it's like the Atomic.
Oh, Atomic Habits?
Yeah, the Atomic Habits.
I just finished that a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Audio book.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
That's why I asked that question.
On the way to work, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Throw it on,
Yeah,
listen to
yeah,
it,
exactly.
learn your lessons, you go from there.
Yeah.
And the Laws of Power.
Okay, yeah.
Those are my three main books that I've read them, and I'm still studying them.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is like even if I do learn a lesson, it's usually like different perceptions within that lesson that I learned.
Yeah.
So I don't think of something like, I learned it, I conquered it. No, I didn't conquer it yet. Still got to keep running it back. Yeah.
Absolutely. So last couple ones for you. Same deserted island. You can only bring one kind of food. What would that food be?
One? Just one?
Just one.
Like it's a
Not even
dish?
Dish. It's just like you just bringing the oxtail, or you bringing the.
It's crazy you said that because I swear that was my answer.
I knew it was.
Oxtail.
I already knew it. Yeah.
Just give me some oxtail, throw it in a big pot that never ends, and I'll be cool.
Be good, right?
I might just cut up some leaves off a tree. Give me some banana leaves, throw it in the stew.
Right.
Because once you got the oxtail, you could just go find some beans,
Yeah,
go
exactly,
find
right.
something.
Be resourceful.
Yeah, I'll be cool.
Oh man, so last question for you, just do you have a parting message for Kingsguard Gaming fans as we prepare to enter this next season?
I think my parting message would be that, my parting message would be along the lines of understand what your mission is and understand that it's a process and learn to appreciate that process. And while you're going through those processes, make sure that the relationships and the connections that you're trying to establish are all on the same path and wavelength as you. So that way, each day, it's not a chore. Each day is, okay, what are we looking to achieve? Whether it's on the content side, whether it's on the stick side, whether it's as a person, whether it's as me and you being partners, whether it's you as a content creator, whether it's you as, when I'm done with the 2K League, I want to be this type of person, whether it's you wanted to be a game developer, whether it's whatever the case may be, whether it's we want to win a championship, whether we want to win the tip-off banner. Let's make sure that each day that we come here that we're working towards something. So my message is come in ready to work, come in ready to inspire, come in ready to plant those seeds. So that way, even if we don't reap the benefits when we want them to, we do at some point. So.
Facts. Life lesson from Coach Cole. Well, I appreciate you sitting down with us today, brother.
Yes, sir.
It was great getting to know you and your philosophy and
likewise.
Which food you would have on a deserted island.
Can't beat them oxtails.
You can't beat the oxtail, man.
Can't beat them.
But yeah, for Coach Cole and JB, go Kings.
We out.